to the Roda-Report, and today I'm joined by former Browns quarterback Tim Couch. He was the #1 overall pick in the 1999 draft out of Kentucky. Tim, thanks for joining me today. How are things with you? And give everybody out there an idea of what you're doing these days.
Hey, Kenny, how you doing? It's good to be with you. I'm currently living in Lexington, Kentucky, and doing some TV for Fox Sports South. I do the SEC package for them. I do a studio show in Atlanta on Wednesday nights during the season, and I also broadcast the games on the weekend. So I've been doing that for about 4 years now, and really enjoy doing it.
Well, that's why we wanted to have you on today. As you know, the Browns continually looking for a quarterback over the years. They have yet to find one. They're hoping maybe this draft will produce a franchise-type quarterback for them, and a lot of the quarterbacks in this draft, Tim, are coming from the SEC. So since you did some of their games, you know these guys, you've seen them. I wanted to pick your brain on those guys, and let's start with the one everybody's talking about, Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel. Give me your thoughts on his style of play, and do you think his style and the way he has handled himself on and off the field, all that will work in the NFL?
You know, I'm a Johnny Manziel fan. I really am, and had a chance to cover him for the last couple of years. And I think there's a perception about Johnny that he's kind of just into being a celebrity and kind of just into that whole lifestyle. But I really, really disagree with that. After getting to know the kid and spending time and watching him interact with his teammates, and the respect that his teammates have for him is all I needed to see. And going to cover his games and the way they rally around him and respect him as a leader showed me all I need to know about Johnny Manziel. We all know about the obvious talents, the escapability. I think he improved a ton as a passer within the pocket this year. His redshirt freshman season, he was a little inaccurate. Didn't show a lot of velocity in the arm strength department. But this year, I think he really went to work on his mechanics, and he had to prove to everyone that he could make plays from the pocket. And all of his numbers were up in the passing game. His throwing from the pocket, his completion percentage. I thought his mechanics were a lot better. His accuracy was a lot better. So I think the guy's going to be a really, really good player at the next level. I think it all depends, like it does with most quarterbacks, if they have to get in the right system with the right staff and have the right players around them. But Johnny's one of those guys that can improvise so well that he can make it, even if the right players aren't around him initially, I think he can improvise and run around and make enough plays to make an impact immediately.
What about his frame? He's just under 6 foot, about 205, 210, somewhere in that vicinity. You know better than anybody the pounding an NFL quarterback takes game in, game out, play in, and play out. Do you think his body is going to be able to withstand the punishment he may take?
That's a great question, and I don't know the answer to that. I think he will have to change his playing style a little bit because he does take a lot of hits when he's trying to run the football, but I think he's learned from that. He got injured this year a couple of times. He banged his shoulder up against Ole Miss. He had a couple things going on. He had a thumb injury. I think that he's realized that he has to preserve his body. It's fine to get out and run around, but at just under 6 feet tall and 100 and whatever 190 pounds, whatever he is, you're not going to be able to take on linebackers, not even DBs at the next level. Those hits pile up on you. So I think he understands what he has to do at the next level. When he gets out of trouble and he's making all those plays that we all like to watch him make, then when he gets that first down, step out of bounds, slide, preserve the body, and live to be under center the next play.
What about his size in the pocket, Tim? The offensive linemen have grown over the years in both size this way and girth this way.
Right.
Is that going to be an issue for him to find those throwing lanes at the NFL level?
I really don't think it is because, the offensive linemen he had there at Texas A&M were NFL offensive linemen. He had some really, really big guys that were top draft picks, and there's going to be some top draft picks that he played with this year. Guys are going to go in the first and second round. So he's played with guys that are that size, and we saw him get it done out on the field. I think he just has a tremendous knack of finding those throwing lanes. 6 feet tall, he's not throwing over anyone, but, it's similar to what Drew Brees is doing in the NFL right now. They have to be really good at their footwork in the pocket, finding those throwing lanes, and getting those receivers in that vision in that throwing lane. And I think he's really, really good at doing that.
You were the #1 overall pick, so you know all the stuff leading up to it, what you have to go through and everything. How do you think he's handled himself, and do you think he's worthy of the #1 overall pick?
I think he's handled himself really well. I think he's really taken a step back of being, Johnny's celebrity, and I think he's really went to work on his game. And I think it was obvious in his pro day. I think everyone walked away from his pro day really impressed at how prepared he was, how ready he was for that moment. And, I think that he's really focused on his game. And I think that, he's obviously has the talent to get it done. And, if you get a guy like that who's really talented and really committed, then special things are going to come. And I think that's where Johnny is in his mind right now.
All right, Johnny's done all the individual things, and he's garnered all the attention this offseason leading into the draft. Another guy won a couple of national championships at Alabama, and he seems to be the forgotten guy. And A.J. McCarron, more of a prototypical quarterback in the NFL, drop back guy. Give me your thoughts on his game and where you think he might fit as far as the draft with all these quarterbacks we're talking about.
You know, I like AJ as well. You know, it's hard not to like a guy who's a proven winner. And, you know, certainly he had a ton of talent around him in Alabama. And, you know, I think that early in his career, you know, he kind of got labeled as a game manager. And I believe he was early in his career. But, you know, as he went on and he was a 3-year starter and especially this past year and the year before last, he really took his game to another level. They asked him to do more within the offense. You know, the first year he was a starter, it was basically hand the ball off to, you know, Trent Richardson and these kind of guys and throw some screen passes and just don't turn the football over. But, you know, his junior, senior year, they really asked him to do a lot more, getting the football down the field. And the thing I really like about AJ is he made big plays in the biggest of games. When they really needed him to step up and make a throw, I think he really did that. And, you know, you look at all the big games he played in, he made a lot of big throws to win those games. And managing the football game, I think that's a great quality that he has as far as decision-making, handling things at the line of scrimmage. He's done a lot of that. He played in a pro-style offense. So I think he's a guy that'll be ready for the next level.
That's what I was going to ask you. With Nick Saban and that pro-style offense, does that give him an edge maybe over some of these other guys?
I think so. I think the way he's been coached by Coach Saban, he's been coached really hard. And, you know, Saban got on him heavily early in his career, and, you know, he put a lot of pressure on him. And playing at Alabama, in my opinion, is pretty similar to playing for an NFL team. The pressure to win there, it's not let's win 8-9 games. It's win the national championship or your season was a failure. And, you know, that's the type of pressure you're going to face at the next level. So certainly playing in that style system, playing under that type of pressure is only going to help A.J.
All right. The question that comes up with A.J. is, he had all that talent around him, so that made him the better quarterback. How do you differentiate between what he can do and maybe you know, everybody else that helped him do what he did do?
Yeah, that's tough, Kenny. That really is, and that remains to be seen. I think only time's going to tell on that deal. But you know, there are certain qualities that you do like in the kid, as far as, you know, mental toughness. You know, he's a leader, he's a winner, and you know, so he has those intangibles that you're looking for at the quarterback position. But you know, can he go out and win football games on his own at the next level? I don't know the answer to that yet, and I think it all depends. You know, like I said earlier, on who's going to be around him, who's the playmakers on the outside, because you know, at the next level, everyone needs help. You know, no matter how good of a quarterback you are, you have to have playmakers out on the outside. You have to have a good offensive line. You have to have that running game to take the pressure off. So he's going to have some help, I think, for sure. But you know, I think he has a lot of potential at the next level.
All right, another quarterback out of the SEC from LSU, Zach Mettenberger, could go anywhere from, somebody said, I heard one report say late first round, but up to the 4th round, somewhere in that vicinity. Your thoughts on what you saw from Mettenberger?
Well, you know, Zach was a guy that, you know, he got to LSU a couple years ago out of junior college, and all this, you know, hype was on him preseason, saying this is the guy that's going to take LSU to the next level. This is all LSU has lacked over the last few years, is a quality passing game, and this guy can really get it down the field. And he really just didn't live up to that until the end of the year in the Alabama game. I'm talking about his first year, his junior year there at LSU. And then this year, boy, he got off to a great start. He was, you know, he was probably one of the best quarterbacks in the country after the first 5-6 weeks of the season this past year. And he was really throwing the ball down the field, making NFL-type throws. And then he gets hurt the last game of the season, and you know, he blows his ACL. Yeah, and you know, you just feel bad for a kid who can't go out and participate in the combines and his pro workouts and those kind of stuff. And he finally did get to throw his pro day, and he threw it well. But you know, I'm sure he's still not 100%. You know, as far as his mobility and things like that. But you know, he's a guy I think has the biggest arm in the draft.
Really?
And yeah, he's got an absolutely huge arm. And the thing I like the most about Zach is he can throw the football with guys around him, and that's what you have to have, because he's very limited with his mobility. He's not going anywhere. You know, he's probably a 5-flat guy, 5-flat 40 guy before he got hurt. You know, I don't know what he runs now, but the biggest thing about Zach is he's probably 6'4", 6'5", 230 pounds. He's a big, prototypical, you know, in the pocket passer, and he can throw with guys at his feet, guys pulling on him, and he has enough arm strength to still get it down the field. And he showed that at LSU a lot this year. Now, he had 2 great wide receivers on the outside, and Beckham and Landry. But man, if you watch his game tape, I think he threw probably the most NFL type throws of any of those guys that we've talked about so far.